Hi, I'm Maryland State Delegate Ryan Spiegel, and I serve on the House Appropriations Committee, so I know a thing or two about the Maryland state budget. Now, you're hearing from a lot of Republicans these days who are saying when Larry Hogan left the governor's office, he left a $5 billion surplus that somehow the Democrats managed to squander in just a couple of years into a $3 billion deficit. But the numbers don't add up, and let me show you why. In fiscal year 2023, which was the last year when Larry Hogan was governor, we were still in the midst of the COVID pandemic, and the federal government was injecting a tremendous amount of aid from the ARPA legislation and other federal laws to try and bail out states across the country from the economic impacts of the pandemic. So if you have a structural deficit of $3 billion, which our nonpartisan budget analysts have said has been around since 2017, and you suddenly get an influx of federal money gifted to you, let's say $8 billion, you can take $5 billion of that dollars and keep it as a surplus and use $3 billion to fill your $3 billion deficit hole, which is exactly what the state did under Larry Hogan in his final year. The next year would be fiscal year 2024, which is the first budget that Governor Wes Moore had to deal with us as the Democratic majority in the General Assembly. Now, we still had $3 billion left over, or rather $5 billion left over after using $3 billion to fill the budget hole in fiscal year 2023. Of that $5 billion, we were able to take $3 billion and fill the hole again with $2 billion left over. This pattern repeats itself when you get to fiscal year 2025. You have only $2 billion left in surplus money from the huge amount of money that the federal government gave us way back a couple of years ago to fill this $3 billion hole, which has continued to be there and was projected to be there again since 2017. So we used those $2 billion left over to fill the hole, and we still had a $1 billion difference that we needed to fill. So in fiscal year 2025, we did some very, very targeted revenue increases to be able to fill the hole, because under the state constitution, we are absolutely required to balance the budget and we cannot leave a deficit. So we did. Then we got to fiscal year 2026. None of this huge pile of federal money that Larry Hogan relied on to balance the budget was left. And therefore, we had to fill this $3 billion hole. But Donald Trump made it even worse, because all of his cuts to federal programs and federal government jobs gave us another $500 million of deficit on top of the $3 billion structural deficit that we were already dealing with. Now, together with Governor Moore, the Democratic-led General Assembly was able to cut $2 billion out of the budget and generate another $1.5 billion to close that gap in targeted, limited revenue generation. And we were still able to leave 95% of Marylanders with no negative impact on their state income tax. And we were able to balance the budget in fiscal year 2026 and set us on a course that gets rid of this $3 billion structural deficit going forward. And that's the truth about what's going on with the state budget.